What secrets are hidden inside the abandoned, completely majestic rock dwellings of a civilization that just vanished? Seriously, if you were to walk through the silent, echoing canyons of ancient Arabia right now, what would those stones tell you? Let's find out.
Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're exploring a deeply profound and emotional chapter of history, the story of Prophet Salih, peace be on him, and the people of Thamud. It's an incredible narrative filled with architectural genius, literally impossible miracles, and ultimately, the devastating consequences of human arrogance.
Part 1. The Forgotten Ancient Builders. To really understand this story, we first need to set the historical stage. We're looking at a highly advanced ancient society that actually rose to power right after the destruction of previous nations.
If we look at the prophetic timeline, we start with Adam, the first human, followed by Prophet Noor and the Great Flood. Now, after the flood, the people of Ad inherited the earth, but they were ultimately destroyed for their disobedience. And that chronological history brings us directly to Prophet Salih and the people of Thamud. They were the successors. They settled right into the region of Al-Hijr, which was perfectly situated along the vital trade routes of Arabia.
So what was life actually like for Thamud? Well, the contrast is kind of striking. Physically, they had immense power and wealth. We're talking a fertile valley packed with lush gardens and water springs, plus this astonishing ability to carve beautiful, totally impenetrable fortresses directly out of the mountains. It was incredible. But spiritually, they were deeply empty. They were consumed by vanity, worshipped idols, spread corruption, and brutally oppressed the poor and vulnerable in their own society. Part 2. A messenger for Thamud. So, what happens when a group of people feel completely invincible, sitting high up in their stone castles? Divine guidance arrives. Allah sent them an extraordinary man from among their own people, Prophet Salih. And his message was beautiful, simple, and direct. As the Quran highlights, serve Allah, you have no God other than Him. He brought you into being out of the earth, and has made you dwell in it. The absolute crucial point Salih was making here is that God alone created them, and because of that, God alone deserves their exclusive worship and deep, deep gratitude.
But how did the people actually react to this? Well, the city quickly became deeply divided. At first, the elites actually held really high hopes for Salih. They thought his intelligence and maturity would bring them even more worldly wealth. So, you can imagine, they were absolutely shocked when he told them to abandon their ancestral idols. Almost immediately, the whole society fractured into two quarreling factions. You had a small group of believers, mostly the weak and poor, and then a large group of hostile, wealthy deniers who saw Salih's teachings of justice as a direct threat to their power. They even went as far as accusing him of being a bad omen.
Part 3. The Miracle of the Rock. This rising tension leads us to one of the most incredible events in ancient history. You see, the arrogant leaders decided to put Prophet Salih to the ultimate test.
They wanted a sign, but not just any sign. They threw down an impossible demand. Pointing at a solitary, solid rock, they challenged Salih to bring forth a living, pregnant she-camel right out of the stone itself. It was a stubborn, incredibly specific challenge designed entirely to publicly humiliate him.
But of course, God is capable of all things. Prophet Salih agreed, but on one condition, that they would actually believe if the sign was given to them. He fervently prayed to Allah. Then, right before their very eyes, the solid rock miraculously moved and split wide open. From the dead, dry stone, a magnificent, living she-camel emerged. It was an absolutely undeniable, awe-inspiring miracle.
Now, this miracle came with some strict divine conditions. First, they had to leave the she-camel to graze freely on Allah's earth. Also, because water was such a precious resource there, they had to share the community well. One day for the camel, and the next day for the people and their herds. And finally, they were explicitly warned not to inflict any harm upon her, or they would face swift punishment. This was a direct test, a test of their obedience, their humility, and their willingness to just share their resources.
Part 4. The Midnight Plot. For a little while, the camel lived among them and even gave birth. Some people genuinely believed. But among the arrogant elite, resentment was really starting to brew, leading us to a very dark conspiracy.
The number 9. Within the city, there were exactly 9 corrupt ringleaders. These were men notorious for spreading mischief and flat out refusing to reform.
And these 9 men hatched a terrifying plot. First, completely ignoring the divine warning, they went out at night and brutally slaughtered the innocent she-camel. But they didn't stop there. In a terrifying second step, they swore a secret oath in the name of Allah to launch a midnight strike and assassinate Prophet Salih and his family. Their grand plan? To cowardly lie to his heirs the very next day, denying they had ever witnessed the destruction. They literally thought they could outsmart God.
Part 5. The 3-Day Warning. As we know, no one outsmarts the Creator. The ultimate betrayal had just been committed, setting the stage for a seriously harrowing climax.
Prophet Salih, seeing that they had actually killed the miraculous sign, delivered a chilling, definitive, final warning. He said, "Enjoy yourselves in your homes for a maximum of 3 days. This is a promise which shall not be belied." Just think about that. 3 days of waiting.
When the time was up, the punishment arrived. Right at dawn, a sudden, terrifying, thunderous blast and a violent earthquake struck the valley. The very mountains they had carved, the massive fortresses they thought made them invincible, they were completely useless against the decree of God. By morning, the arrogant wrongdoers lay lifeless in their homes, almost as if they had never even lived there at all.
But amidst this terrifying display of justice, there is a really profound reassurance. The Quran says, "We saved Salih and those who shared his faith through our special mercy." Before the destruction ever fell upon the city, Allah delivered the Prophet and the righteous believers, completely saving them from the disgrace of that day.
Part 6. Signs in the Stone. Now, let's bring this back to the modern day. The people of Thamud are gone, sure, but their legacy was deliberately left behind for us to observe.
The Quran introduces this really beautiful concept, al-mutawassimin. This refers to those who possess the insight to decipher marks, read the landscape, and derive deep moral lessons from observing the ruins of the past. It's all about understanding that ancient ruins aren't just piles of old rubble. They're deliberate, physical signs left by God for those of us who take the time to reflect.
In fact, the Quran states, "Now behold their houses that lie in utter ruins because of their wrongdoing. Verily there is a sign in this for the people who know." The rock dwellings of Al-Hijr still stand in Arabia today as these perfectly preserved, silent warnings against human arrogance.
So, what should you really take away from all this? The lessons of Thamud are incredibly relevant today. First, material wealth, technology, and power absolutely cannot stop divine decree. Second, true success requires deep, genuine gratitude to the Creator who gave us everything. And third, which is so important, we are constantly tested by how we treat the vulnerable, how we treat animals, and how we share our resources with the poor. Serving God truly means acting with charity and protecting the weak.
I want to leave you with this thought. When you look at the ruins of history, do you just see carved stones, or do you see a reflection of our own spiritual state today? It's a powerful reminder to practice daily gratitude, to support charitable causes like feeding the hungry, and to continue seeking authentic Islamic knowledge. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and remember,